We went into it with no experience in television whatsoever, and made a tremendous number of mistakes for the first year. I mean, still make mistakes every year, but I think, but hopefully learning as we go and improving things. But we just didn't have any production experience, so we came in kind of knowing how we wanted to write it, but not knowing anything about the casting process, the editing process, working with visual effects, working with a production designer, all that stuff that you need to know. And it's been a steep learning curve.
They would get behind a project and they would give it a solid commitment.
We'd never produced anything for television before. We'd never produced anything for film or internet or anything. We'd written before, but we never produced. So when we went to George, probably it was probably like that bluff where you mistakenly think you have a straight and you actually don't. But we were so confident that I think we convinced George that, well, these guys seem like they really know what they're doing.
I said, I want it done. I want a faithful adaptation of the books. And they said, that's what we want to do.
Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be chatting about the divergences, or the forks in the road. It's going to be an interesting ride, to say the least. Well, let's get this show on the road. Let me bring in the guests. First off, welcome to Neph.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I'm using a new avatar. Thank you so much, Space Junk.
And also, welcome to Wolf.
The current Wolf Lord of the Space Wolves is Logan Grimnar, also known as the Old Wolf. He rules from the Hall of the Great Wolf, together with his Wolf Lords such as Herald Deathwolf, Eagle Ironwolf, and Bjorn Stormwolf.
All I got out of that was wolf, 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 and wolf.
The Space Wolves are incredibly uninspired.
Turns out you can turn from a squat into a dragon.
Totally. Obviously. Also, welcome, Count Valerian.
Those helmets still look like crap.
I have a question for your lot.
Yes?
Don't you think that Game of Thrones would make a charming holiday ballet?
Oh, yeah.
No.
It would be, yeah, that would be hilarious. That would be a hilarious train wreck on a level with turn off that stupid Spider-Man musical, Turn Off the Dark.
What the frick is Turn Off the Dark?
Okay, so real quick, let me bring in White Dragon and then I'll tell you. So, Turn Off the Dark is a Spider-Man musical that ran on Broadway and is one of the biggest Broadway bombs that exists ever.
Good Lord.
It sounds lovely.
Yeah. It had some both weirdly expensive, but also cheap effects. Like, the lizard is a blow-up thing that comes out of a guy's stomach.
Like
It's
a balloon?
Yes,
What?
it's a balloon. Yes, it looks like a
Oh,
balloon.
good Lord. What the hell? Seriously?
Yep.
I'm just gonna pretend as if I didn't hear that coming from your mouth.
It exists.
It's done. Drink this and stop talking.
There's also like just spinning stuff like all over the thing to try and create the illusion of web slinging. And in the original one, Arachne created Spider-Man, like the thing that bit Spider-Man was Arachne, not an irradiated spider. But, and kind of the first half of the play is him going up against the Sinister Six, and then the next act is him going up against Arachne because she wants his spider juices.
Oh, good
Okay,
God.
I'm not gonna ask what you meant by spider juices.
I think your
No,
fill there comes up from a.
You don't want to know.
No comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to know.
Okay. Okay. So, alrighty. Let's maybe we'll do a stream on that. That might actually be funny. It's probably somewhere on YouTube. I know there's like places all over the place where you can watch it. Watch recordings of it. Okay. So this is kind of describing a scene of George R. R. Martin at a restaurant in Santa Fe. He's eating green chili enchiladas and taco plates, and he's ordered by the number. Okay, so it's his favorite restaurant, Moss Family Home Spot, where green enchiladas and taco plates are ordered by the number. Yeah.
Well, listen, we're still looking into that. We need to figure out what exactly it is they smuggled in.
Yeah, we really do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
it's here.
You know,
I'm gonna take the risk of getting the FBI on my ass and just look up smuggling laws and see how the high levels of bullshit you can get through.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know why they would get on your ass for that. I mean, you could just be checking to make sure that you're not taking anything illegal inside and seeing what's on the list so you know what not to take.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so this actually is really interesting. The showrunners of Game of Thrones have had their project suspended because one of the producers got killed.
What?
So, wait. You mean to say that the Game of... Someone finally died on that project and it wasn't Thunder?
No. The project, The Three-Body Problem. The Three-Body Problem for Netflix. One of the producers got killed, and the only current suspect is another one of the producers.
Oh,
really died. Like he like there was an attempted murder. He got severely injured. Died in the hospital. And now the project is on
hold because of that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't Benioff killing Weiss, I gather, or vice versa.
No, it was Chinese producers, I think.
Oh.
And White died.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, like really died. Like, and it's apparently violent because there's a suspect. It was
Jesus.
poison. Well, it was poison apparently.
Oh.
It was
to die.
Good Lord.
Oh Jesus.
So yeah, it's interesting. Oh, we have a new person. Welcome, the Canibra.
Oh,
hello.
Yeah. So
hello.
Okay. So even though he's out of sight, George R. R. Martin is out of sight for the main dining room. Some Thrones fans still managed to find him and ask for a photo, and he looks like a literary character of sorts, with his fluffy, snowy white beard, suspenders, and ever-present fisherman's cap. Yeah. So, talks about how Sean Bean was the most Martin said, I was a best-selling author, but Sean Bean was the most well-known actor in the cast. HBO used me a lot in the early publicity. My picture got out there, and I became well-known. I guess my appearance is rather distinctive. Then I discovered you can't turn that off. Like, I can't go into a bookstore anymore, which is one of my favorite pleasures in life. I used to spend a whole day browsing around and leave with many books under my arm. Now I'm in 5 minutes and someone asks for an autograph or a photo, and pretty soon I have a circle of people around me. You gain a lot and lose things too. Yeah, that does suck.
Yeah. On one hand, he's making more money because people are buying his books. On the other, he's got no privacy anymore.
And there's probably a lot of like stuff that's demanded of his time now. Like people are asking, "Hey, please come to this Comic-Con thing, or come to this writers conference, or whatever."
Or
Yeah.
write this book.
Yeah,
Hint,
like
hint.
yeah.
hint,
Yeah.
hint, hint, George.
Yeah, it's like, at this point, I'm just like, I don't care anymore. He's never going to finish this book series. Just pass it off to Joe Abercrombie. Joe Abercrombie's a really good writer. He'd be able to finish it. Martin pointed. This is interesting. So Martin pointed across the dining room to an even more secluded nook. Right over there, he said, was where he sat with David Benioff, Dan Weiss, and Brian Cogman back in 2013 and revealed his long-held secret ending for A Song of Ice and Fire. By that time, it was clear to Martin that the show would have major divergences from his novels. During the pilot reshoot, I visited the set on Malta and met some of the new actors, he recalled. There was some crisis that occurred. The director called David and Dan over. They were discussing about 10 feet about how to handle it. I realized that my baby wasn't my baby anymore, because I wasn't part of the discussion. The director was talking to Dan and Dave. Nobody was saying, "George, come over and tell us your opinion." I didn't throw a tantrum or anything, Martin added calmly. I just came to a realization. I gave my baby up for adoption, and now there was a parent-teacher conference, and I'm not invited. Okay. This kind of gives me hope for Wheel of Time, because in a recent Q&A with Rafe Judkins, the showrunner, he said that he's consistently consulting with their book purist, Sarah Nakamura, and the editors, the original editors, including the original author's wife and the guy who finished, and Brandon Sanderson, the guy who finished it, and is constantly like giving their like scripts up to them to review. And at one point they suggested, "Hey, instead of wolves, can we have the wolf brother talk to bears instead?" And then Sarah gave them with it. Sarah Nakamura, the expert, said, "No, we are doing wolves." That elves. It's
what?
not
What? Bears?
What,
Are you serious?
bears?
You would have to change what they're called if you change which
Yeah.
animal they talk to.
Dire bears?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's
Seriously.
Yeah.
But that wasn't even Dan, that was it?
Yeah. It was not David and Dan. It's Rafe
Okay, good.
Judkins. Wheel of Time is honest. It's being showrun by the guy who did the Chuck Show, which is an interesting choice to me. But he is a mega fan, clearly a mega fan. Like he's a fan of the series, and he is consulting frequently with the author's wife, who is his editor, and a few other, and his publicist to make sure. Not that I am aware of. There was not a woke pilot episode for the Wheel of Time, no. There was, like, quote-unquote woke casting, but that's the most that we've gotten. And the fact that the showrunner is gay. That's the extent of it, which is, I think it's fine. Let other people have opportunities. And the ethnicity of the characters isn't that important. So, I don't really care. There was a cheap and asylum budgeted pilot episode that was filmed with Billy Zane in it that aired on Red Eagle Entertainment and then was crap canned really quickly because it's awful and it looked like an asylum film. To those who know what the asylum is, that this will be very amusing. Because the Asylum have no money. Their movies are basically... The only film that's cheaper than them is Troma films, but that's because Troma films are cheaper than Oxygen.
I tried. I have yet to watch Who Killed Cat and Alex, a film that was made on a budget of $200 USD.
So, yeah, same here. But, like, that's kind of the extent of, like... As far as we know... I think you're thinking of Blood Moon. Blood Moon, like they were attempting to be woke, but the problem is, I imagine a lot of woke people would be like, "F
did-
no, you
we
are
did it-
not doing that."
Yeah.
we did a stream on it actually, so go check it out.
Yeah,
Oh,
We
yeah.
even had the Dragon Demands on for it.
Yeah. Watch
Yeah.
that.
But short version, they wanted to turn the children of the forest into people who are cursed by other children of the forest who are also black people. Like the children of the forest as a race were black people, and then a bunch of traitor children of the forest called the Green Men cursed the other people so that they would become.
Which makes absolutely no freaking sense.
Yeah, it makes
the
no sense. It's a stupid idea.
The Collabos are the good
original
guys.
idea is that the people who were originally on Westeros were blacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, no.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be
Yes.
what? Fantasy
Yeah.
Scotland or something?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be Fantasy Britannia.
Yeah. So there are no black people there unless they are migrants.
The migrants are possible. No, but not the originals.
But
yeah,
especially
if they are the indigenous people, which is what the forest children are supposed to be, supposedly.
The children of the forest are Fays, so take that as you will.
Yeah. They're like animals. They're tiny people with green skin and yellow eyes, like a cat and 3 fingers.
And the Collabos are the good guys.
And they created the White Walkers.
Yeah. Yeah. So another early sign of the show's autonomy was when the producers decided to have King Joffrey order Ilan Payne to cut out the singer Millerians talking in season 1. In the books, the victim is a different minstrel. George was none too pleased because in the books, Marillion ends up being a patsy for Lysa Arryn's murder, which happened in season 4. Brian Cogman said, David and Dan's reasoning was it's better television to have this minstrel whose tongue ripped out be the minstrel we'd spent the season with, and that we'd figure out Lysa Arryn's murder when we got to it, and we did.
No.
We'd figure out when we got to it. We'd figure out when we got to it. Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Yes. We'd figure it out when we got to it. That's a bad. That's really bad.
No.
Yeah, that's.
It is perfectly okay for an extra to get their tongue ripped out. It's perfectly okay to do that.
When we got to it, I'm triggered by that.
So okay.
Well, I don't mean that literally. I mean it's perfectly okay for a nameless person to have something happen to them.
I think he's not even that big a character. He's been there in 2 episodes, and for 5 minutes in those episodes.
Yeah.
So, this argument is stupid. We hadn't spent this season with him. That's so dumb.
When we got to it, we'll do it when we got to it.
Yeah, no. And these are the guys that don't know how to do long form storytelling, which is why they did that.
They also didn't correctly set up some stuff for season 5, so they had to they decided to shoehorn in one of their actresses, shoehorn in Sansa into her friend Jane Poole's storyline because they didn't set up Jane at all. They could have also not done it. That's also a possibility.
Again, no, you do not want to do it that way.
Yeah.
It makes sense to us creatively. Maybe to you, but to everyone else it doesn't.
Yeah. Creatively and sense to us.
That's because you guys' intellects aren't on their level. That's why.
There are some good sword fighting in Game of Thrones. Like, I think some of the early stuff. The later stuff,
not so much.
The later stuff has some bad choreography.
Poke, poke, spin, another poke.
Yeah, I think TLJ Throne Room, because TLJ Throne Room's a mess. It's an awfully choreographed.
The plot literally bends itself over so
Yeah,
And yet it still somehow manages to be better than some of Game of Thrones stuff.
Yeah, they also set things up once which they didn't follow through on. Taisha being the example that hops to mind. So either way, they're not doing long-term storytelling.
well, and the
No,
weirdest
they're
part
not.
was- and the weirdest part was they've been setting it up for 4 seasons at this point, with even mentions in season 4, and they just decided to cut it out because
Ugh.
Because
yeah,
it's predictable. It's like, no.
Ugh.
No.
not
If you
not
set
because
it,
it's not. It's actually not that it's not predictable. There's actually a worse reason for it.
Oh.
Basically,
no.
so this is a theory that Dragon Demands created, but the thing is, I honestly believe it because David Benioff has never talked about why they cut the Taisha reveal. Nobody's ever talked about that. So, based on Dragon Demand's research into David Benioff's comments about his past and his dad, the idea is that David Benioff associates Tywin with an idealized version of his dad.
Why?
Because his dad is basically Book Tywin.
He must be a charming boy.
Ugh.
He is basically a multi-billionaire who's captain of industry, worked at the White House, was like a secretary, worked in the government. He's a titan of industry. He's done a lot of stuff, and David Benioff has said stuff like, "I associate myself with Tyrion, but I would like to be Tywin." So.
Oh, and again, it's the author insert going on.
Yeah,
It's
very much so.
No.
Yes.
Ugh.
So there's
Carrot
a lot of,
stew.
so yeah, there's a lot of things that are weird, and it's like he even David Benioff doesn't think that Tywin Lannister is morally culpable for the Red Wedding, or at least he doesn't view that as morally reprehensible, partially because of his Tywin bias.
Hermione is a better author insert character, and
Yeah.
Rowling can't write worth crap.
Yeah. I think that's the main problem with David Benioff, is because that's the thing with the Taisha reveal. Because the Taisha reveal shows that Tywin Lannister has done something irredeemably awful.
Welcome back.
But that's
Hello.
essentially
Oh.
but that's essentially the that is essentially the only reason that we can come up with for why it was cut.
So what's
Because-
going on now? I missed a lot.
We're just talking about the Taisha
They should
reveal.
reveal.
Well, we got into it because
They're
what's
not
this?
good at long form storytelling, and they said we'll figure out Lysa Arryn's murder when we get to it.
When we
And-
get
No,
to it.
you can't do that. You have to set it up.
No.
Because they killed the guy Marillion, who's involved in that murder.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
figure out when
They
we
don't
get
get
to
that
it.
it's perfectly fine to pull someone off the street as an extra and go, how would you like to play a death scene or something?
Like that
that.
famous singer chap they brought in season 7.
Well, you
Ed Sheeran.
you
Yeah.
get your
Yeah.
15 minutes of fame by dying on screen.
Yeah.
And nobody would have a problem with that. Nobody would have a problem with doing that if their names got into the credits for the episode.
You might even get fangirls like that chap in the Lord of the Rings film who didn't say or do anything and had a whole big screaming fangirl following. So you might even get a fangirl following just for
Yeah,
existing.
exactly.
Yeah. Let's
never
keep
know.
going.
Hey, that's offensive, space junk. Give me more credit than that.
Hey, Space Junk, I'm using that picture you made for me.
Yeah, listen, what you do die a lot of times because everything that are coming on, I've slowly been poisoning your The truth is, I've been slowly poisoning you since day one.
Wait, how does that even work?
Yeah. Let's
It's
keep
special
going.
death poison that keeps
keep
killing
going.
you and remains.
Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Let's keep going.
So, it kind of talks about how George R. R. Martin's last book, Dance with Dragons, it's over 1,000 pages. 2011, same year that Game of Thrones debuted. Martin has two more books planned: Winds of Winter, Dream of Spring. But Dragons took 6 years to write. Fans worried that the HBO series was going to outpace the books, and there's like, finish the book, George, became an internet rallying cry.
Yeah, well, they would not have run out of material if they'd not thrown out most of
Material.
most of the material they had, which was, I think, books 4 and 5.
Yep.
Yeah.
Up in the earlier seasons. If they were competent with money, they could have done a lot more with season 1.
Yeah.
They could have done a lot more with all of the seasons if they'd been competent with money management. But no, they have absolutely no management skills whatsoever.
I mean, Mr. Wise can tell us about money management.
It's kind of a weird pattern.
That was a budget.
It's kind of a weird pattern throughout this show that they're saying, like, even in the early seasons, they were terrible at money management. They constantly ran over budget, and like, yet they and yet HBO kept giving them additional money, and they said, "Fine, here."
Which makes absolutely no sense.
No, it doesn't.
Because these two, they fail upwards.
Yeah, they do.
How did they keep doing that?
I don't know.
Adaptation?
They kept failing upwards.
Yeah, and it's because the show is popular. They were like, we will keep giving money into this, even though they're constantly running over budget, which is hilarious.
Exactly. Keep failing upwards, and you'll keep
the fans would not have minded they do that if they got rid of the people who were making it dumb by the end.
Yeah. A few years in, the executives of the network grew nervous as well. I finally understood fans' fear, which I didn't understand before. Michael Lombardo said during season 3, what if the story catches up with the books? Let's hope that's not a problem.
It would not have been a problem if they hadn't decided to throw out books 4 and 5.
Okay, here we go. Fandom and network angst paled in comparison with Martin's own concern. Okay. The author posted the dismayed updates on his blog, also entitled Not a Blog, which is funny to me, detailing his struggle to complete Winds of Winter. He's attributing it to a mix of factors. Complexity of the story, his perfectionism, distractions and opportunities that came along because of the HBO series. On Tuesday, I think it's the greatest thing I've ever done. Martin said on Wednesday, I think it's all garbage. I should throw it in the fire and start again. So, Dan Weiss, we just did the math on how many seasons we got, how many this story could shoulder and service, and we realized we were going to outstrip the books. So we sat down with him.
No, you didn't. You realized that when you decided you were going to throw out a couple of books.
Yeah.
And Martin gave them an outline, didn't he? Yes.
So we're about to get into that. So we sat down with him in Santa Fe for 3 days and dug as deep as we could into what he had in mind for the future of the series through to the end. Brian Cogman. I can't even describe that meaning. It was like learning the meaning of life.
Really? They really equate that to learning the meaning of freaking life.
Wait, I want to make sure this is real. Repeat what you just said.
Yeah, repeat it, please.
So he said it was like learning the meaning of life, like God was coming down and telling you the future.
What was this relation to again? I'm like trying to write this down, so I'm like trying to remember the whole context.
Let me.
Learning the meaning of life.
Oh, for Christ's sake!
God.
Okay, well.
What the?
Okay, so what was like learning the meaning of life again?
What was it like?
It was like learning the meaning of life, like God.
What was he learning? I forgot that part.
Yeah, what was like learning the meaning of life?
Just the meaning of life. Like we knew at that point that we were going to catch up. It was learning a lot of these secrets, and then your mind was figuring out what will that work. What if that will work in the context of the show? Okay, we're at something that's been highlighted by 9 other people. Okay, that's interesting.
Nice.
Okay, that was I did not spend it on a cooking robot.
Yeah.
Hmm?
So.
Hmm?
Yeah. True.
So let me get this straight.
Always look
Running
on
out
the
of book
bright
material
side
is
of
like
life.
the meaning of life. That's what I got out of this.
I guess it was. I think it was more because like they were like learning all of the secrets of George R. R. Martin's books, and it was like learning the meaning of life or something. I don't know. So Martin, author and co-executive producer. It wasn't easy for me. I didn't want to give away my books. It's not easy to talk about the ending. Each character has a different end. I told them who would be on the Iron Throne, and told them some big twists like Hodor and Hold the Door, and Stannis' decision to burn his daughter.
And yet,
They
they
did not
probably
set it up.
changed that. They did not go with it. Whatever he told them, they changed it. I think.
Yeah, I think partially it's just they literally took it as like the bullet points and just like screamed to those bullet points. We didn't get to everybody by any means, especially the minor characters who may have very different endings.
You couldn't get to them because you threw out material.
Because these performances, these faces, that's what we're mostly focused on until the very end. And then we just kind of
Wait.
Shocker, wasting your source material leaves you with the source material.
Wait a second. He said, who would be on the Iron Throne? That implies that the Iron Throne is not going to be blown up by the end of the books. At least maybe. I don't know. Maybe. It's a possibility since it is a lot of people have said like it's the equivalent of the One Ring, and I'm just like, I don't buy that.
No.
No,
I don't think so. No.
It's a source of like people want the power of the Iron Throne as a symbol, but and like idiots like Yes and IRL said like the Iron Throne is a representative of like a might makes right thing. It's a bunch of swords that are carved into a throne, but the real reason why it was made
the show of power, what I would think of it as.
Yeah, and it's like the guy who made it, Aegon the Conqueror, said that a throne should not be comfortable. Like a king should ever be on watch. So that's why he made a throne made out of the swords of his fallen enemies.
I don't ever think that was ever told about in the show. That line.
That part of that line that a king should never be easy on his throne. No, that's a thought of they're already burned with dragonfire, so they were ruined, and so it is kind of like it's a weird decision, but yeah. So Dan Weiss, what makes the books great is that George doesn't make meticulous blueprints for every beat of this story, then fill in the blanks by dutifully going A to B to C, flashing out an outline. George didn't have ultra detailed versions of the last 100 pages of his story figured out.
Isn't he a discovery writer?
Yeah.
The thing is, that could have been his ending, but he could have changed like anything by this point.
Yeah. He could have changed a lot.
I mean, look at what he talked about, like season 1, like when he was writing the first book, like how there were vastly different endings.
Yeah, like they thought of he thought about like Jamie dying at the wall or something, dying beyond the wall.
So that's kind of like me holding hope that there might be a different ending.
Yeah, I think that there is going to be a different ending because they've cut out lots.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the bullet points here. Like these could be old bullet points, and they could be outdated.
I think that at least Stannis burning his daughter. I think that that's going to be some. I don't think it's definitely not going to be how it is in the show because in the books, Stannis is winning. Stannis is like he's got pretty much set to win at the beginning of book 6 because he's made it so that the enemy has to cross an ice lake to get to him, and he's deliberately bored holes in the ice so that when he lobs catapults at them, the ice is going to break and they're going to drop into the freezing cold lake and get
Wait, hold on a minute. You're saying that they have catapults and
why did they have
like
catapults?
locations?
Obviously, superior trebuchet.
Yeah, I mean, why ain't they putting the catapults on the ice? I mean, this is some serious issues right here.
Yeah, clearly.
The question is why are they using the trebuchets?
Trebuchet go way farther than catapults.
Sure.
Yeah. So Stannis, or at least like both Stannis and Bolton are both equally bad situation, but Bolton is coming to Stannis on ground of his choosing. And Stannis is set to win. Like he's set to win. Like he's in a good position, especially because Stannis has men on the inside who hate the Boltons and want them dead because of their part in the Red Wedding. And because of the fact that the hostages are gone, they're gonna turn on the Boltons and kill them from behind, just as Stannis kills them in the front. So he's probably going to burn Shireen as a sacrifice in order to bring back Jon on Snow after Jon Snow dies. Because Stannis, as it currently stands in the book, says we're not burning anybody. Pray harder. We're not going to burn people in order to get good weather. And
that's gonna go out the window probably.
Probably, yeah. But he sends a letter. Like in a letter, he says, like, even if I fall, use this loan from the Iron Bank for the mercenary army to put my daughter on the throne. So there's a lot of problems with the notion of Stannis burning his daughter for better weather. That's stupid. Especially since like she's his only heir. She dies, Baratheon line ends, and his line specifically ends.
Not to mention that if the snowstorm is so bad, how is it that Ramsay and his 20 good men are able to burn
Stannis' supplies?
Yes, I mean, if the storm is so bad, then it should not be possible to burn things because snow is water. Am I correct? Or am I?
Yes, snow is very, very cold water.
That is what I thought.
Yeah,
but I figured that D&D must know better than I do, so maybe they have a...
Yeah, what are you talking about? You don't know anything about writing, obviously.
I didn't even sneak into the camp in the first place.
I know what is good writing. I am the best at everything.
I am the showrunner, so that means I know how to write.
Never mind. That voice was way too mellifluous to be David Benioff. David Benioff.
You're more like a show.
Every time he's on camera, he's always very like shy. So he's like, "Well, I kind of forgot." Shut up.
Yeah. He's kind of a recalcitrant child. But it was Stannis. It does say that George said Stannis burns his daughter. So maybe George will change it. Maybe not.
Maybe.
Oh, maybe I don't know. There's gonna have to be some real fuckery going on to make him do that. Yeah, considering what he says previously.
There's got to be some really, really big problems going on.
Like
I
some
imagine
weird
either,
fire
like,
magic that makes him
or-
hallucinate somebody else, kind of like the
or-
glimmering or something.
Glamour, or it's the others, or it's the White
Or
Walkers.
it's some kind of hallucinogenic mushroom or something that they ate.
I don't think it will be hallucination. That doesn't seem like George's style. George much prefers like characters making bad decisions on their own. The worst is that they're slightly intoxicated, but there's never like illusion stuff that I'm aware
Oh
of.
no, I'm talking about natural stuff.
Well, like even like
Hallucinogenic mushrooms. The stuff that
Well,
has poisons that makes you think you're having a religious experience or something. Those kind of things.
well, that'd be hard to do since they're in the middle of hyper winter.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
mirages.
Yeah.
I think you
But
can have
that doesn't change
mirages.
but that doesn't change the fact that it's a it's
That's
possible.
life.
It's
Yeah,
possible because this is supposed to be what?
Just the dumbest
Medieval
things they
fantasy
say.
or something?
It's low fantasy, yeah.
Yeah.
So George often used the metaphor of being a gardener instead of an architect. He plants the seeds and watches them grow. Even if we wanted to be gardeners, we couldn't. We had to plan out entire seasons. We had to write a detailed outline and then provide it to production. Writing okay, that's hilarious.
A detailed outline.
I hope
a detailed outline. Well, Euron just kind of kills Rhaegal out of nowhere. That's detailed right there.
Yeah. Like, writing a novel is a solo endeavor. Television is a team sport.
Wait, what?
Okay,
Did
so
they just say that
writing
a novel
This
takes
guy's
a
talking
long
out of his
time?
asshole. That's what he's doing.
Okay, writing a novel. Okay, what he said was writing a novel is a solo endeavor and television is a team sport. I'm horribly mixing my metaphors, but the basic point is George was gardener and we had to be architects to plan out seasons meticulously so they got shot and were ready in time.
But they didn't plan meticulously.
In time.
No, they didn't. They wasted every single penny they were given.
In time.
That's bull. That is so bull. That is
So they claim they needed to plan meticulously. Is that what they just said?
Yes.
Well, and we just get an example of that where they didn't do that. Just a few pages ahead.
They also, like, how do you explain the Arya killing the Night King change and them saying, "Oh, we planned it 3 years before we decided to do it"?
Bullshit! They can't do long form anything.
Well, it's actually shorter term than you would think. The 3 years is when season 7 was airing.
No, fucking, it was tone deaf. Like, fucking, oh, we planned this, but we just didn't feel like, John should be doing it. No, fucking lost it.
Yeah. So basically what happened was they'd been setting up for multiple seasons that Jon Snow was going to kill the Night King. And then in the middle of filming season 7, they decided, no, we're going to make it Arya. Arya who kills the Night King.
It's like, no, that's
So
Jon's
that's not meticulous. That is not meticulous planning. That
was like
not.
one line from a season that they had nothing to do with. That's foreshadowing now.
Same with
the eyes thing. That's a Roya.
Same thing with stuff like Dorne, where they like wrote it and decided to insert it after the writing stage during production and.
Yeah, no, you're not supposed to do that, and they never learned that.
And they absolutely that caused Michelle Clapton, who had been faithfully working for them for 4 seasons previous to that, quit the show.
Dorn.
Yeah, they retconned that Arya killing the Night King was prophesied by Melisandre, essentially saying that Arya would kill people who had eyes.
Yeah.
No way.
You don't say, really.
This is really
If there's
like it's just,
anything I
Hey,
hate
you
this
know
is
what I'm gonna do
in
now? I'm gonna avenge my
literature,
family by
it's
murdering the rest of my family. By the way,
it's so frustrating.
Sorry about
It is
that.
really really.
if
This is
there
really
is one
frustrating
thing
because
that I hate
there are-
in literature, it's prophecy.
it depends.
But at least
Depends on
do it
how
right. If you're gonna do it right.
yeah, yes, Nihilus. We should make it season 8, but it's like a parody, so we have to make it like even dumber.
But can we do that? Can we do that?
I
That's
don't
the
think we
question.
can. I don't think we're that inept. I think we'll
Like-
still make it even a parody, like a fucking
It's
airplane
funny.
style movie would probably
what?
be better.
Well, we could.
Yeah.
If we acted competent enough, who knows? Maybe we might write a competent script for it regarding these two.
At least
Like we
we
do the
would make-
parody of the Regal
At least our-
getting killed scene, but we actually set it up, so it makes sense.
At
Like,
least-
damn it, failed.
So it could even
Well, the thing is that all of us working together with just the material from the books would probably have done it way better than those two idiots who went off freaking script.
there's also the issue
Yeah.
that it just I don't know if it can get worse because it's just so many random things unless we just like say let's just make this utterly ridiculous and do make it a Mel Brooks movie.
Oh, by the way,
Done.
That might be
is there
funny.
some special holiday
Done.
going on?
It can always get worse. It can
Honestly,
always get worse.
that is a good example of a prophecy done right is Mistborn because
Why are you all dragons again? I just
because
noticed
we're
that.
writing because it's fire cannot kill a dragon. It's thematically appropriate. It all ties
Yeah.
in.
We come full
So-
circle now.
Hey! Themes are for 8th grade book reports. Done.
Yeah. Are you,
Yeah,
are you an 8th grader?
Yeah. Oh
I'll just
shit.
say no.
I have the mentality of one sometimes.
we all do.
Hey, fucking David Benioff probably doesn't have what, second
He's a-
grade?
He's a horny 12-year-old in an adult
no.
body.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, those brown skinned women. Oh.
Ambiguously brown.
I'm pooping.
Let's keep going.
Before it gets disgusting.
But it's just it's just frustrating because it's just this book contradicts they've said on camera that they don't plan, and they've
I'll be
and
back
this
in a
book is
sec.
just this is just frustrating because it's clearly BS.
But we
Blatant
already knew that.
self-contradiction. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so George R. R. Martin, David warned me we're catching up. I said, I know you are, but at that time I thought they still wouldn't catch up. I thought I'd stay ahead. Martin was confident that he could finish his saga before Game of Thrones because he'd made the assumption about the showrunners, how the showrunners would use his already published 4th and 5th A Song of Ice and Fire books. First 2 seasons were based on the first 2 books. Game of Thrones and Clash of Kings. Season 4, 3, and 4 were based on the almost 1,000-page Storm of Swords. Martin's next 2 titles, Feast for Crows and Dance with Dragons, were combined 1,800 pages. So
Yeah, you could have gotten 2 seasons each out of those books, I think, is what he
possibly
said.
more. Yeah,
Yeah, possibly more. And
Yeah.
yet, it's like,
it's
the
frustrating.
fuck are you doing? Yeah,
Yeah.
they would not have caught up if they just used books 4 and 5.
Yeah. So the author believed that it was more than enough to keep them occupied, but the new books added so many new characters and storylines set in Dorne and the Iron Islands that those added threads made it so the books had an unusual format covering the same chronological period while focusing on different characters.
And that would have been just fine.
So there are arguments that have been made regarding the fact that they chose to adapt Feast and Dance and basically smush them into mostly season 5, but then throw in bits of it into season 6. So one of the things that happens that he uses the analogy of is how in Lord of the Rings, Gimli, Legolas, and Aragorn split up, and the first half of Two Towers is their story, and then the second half is Sam's story. George R. R. Martin did something similar, only on a larger scale.
Much larger.
Oh yeah, much larger.
Continent spanning.
Yeah,
You could
George
have
R. R. Martin did-
possibly had 4 seasons from those 2 books alone.
Probably, and that would have taken 4 years.
Yeah, just to think about it, right now we could be at like what, season 8 or season 9?
Season 8.
And they still would have had like material left, and they
Yeah.
still had like places to go.
Yeah,
I think
God
you
damn
could have
it.
had what?
Game of
Something like
Thrones could
12
still spin
seasons,
on right
if
now.
not more.
You could say that there was no material for like 12 seasons.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, or 13. But yeah.
So in terms of this, there is kind of an example of you would have to figure out how to story arc the show, because the way that it's stretched out with Dance with Dragons, it's a single arc for Jon, an arc for Daenerys, whereas Feast for Crows is mostly new people. It's pretty much all new people. The only like familiar people are Arya, Cersei, though it's the first time we're getting her POV, and it shows that she cray, like really, really cray.
In other news,
The kind of cray to blow up a city and burn it, you know.
In other news,
that kind of
everyone.
thing.
In other news, water is not wet.
So okay, so it all begins. So it all begins in Winterfell. They split up. People gets wider and wider. David and Dan made the turn to shifting much earlier, and then introduced some of my new characters like Arion Martell and Quentin Martell, which is weird because Arion Martell is like essentially a Latina sex pot stereotype in many ways. Like that's my assessment of her. Would you agree with that, Count Balerion, or no?
You might even call her an ambiguously brown, hot female.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and they decided to cut her out and give most of like her plot to Indira Varma. So I guess like they're just like, oh, Indira Varma's like fine. We don't need to cast a new one,
God.
which is weird.
Amalgamate characters. That does not always work.
Yeah,
Yes.
especially when they have completely opposite motivations. Where Ilaria Sand wants peace, and Ariana Martell wants to put Marcella on the Iron Throne.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, why did you try to do it? It makes no sense. How did you? Since they basically pulled most of this stuff from their butts, there is very little.
It's
Laurie says,
it's exactly the opposite of what
This
the
is-
book did.
It goes on murder over his
Yeah.
family. It's like,
This is basically like Dorne is basically
The most retarded
80%.
place in the TV show.
Yeah,
Yeah, they call it porn.
Not even that. It's not really that like it's not even really that titillating. Really, there's just one scene.
Yeah, but I mean, they call it porn with a capital P, P-O-R-N-E. You probably, you may have seen that.
It's kind of weird because like they said, it's like like David Benioff and DUI. It's like if we could live anywhere or in Dorne, we could live anywhere, it would be Dorne because it's our Brazil. They seem to have it figured out over there. But it's like,
yeah.
Oh,
No.
Wow.
You would seriously live in Dorne.
Yeah, because they're free. They practice free love, or at least like they're very tolerant.
I mean, there are the children.
Ooh, kinky.
I mean, you could say they're actual.
Of course.
I think this one might be my favorite place.
12-year-olds stuck in adult bodies would do that.
Hey, this is my favorite place now. I'm gonna go move there.
And it's kind of weird because like they don't even show that much like in the way of like titillation. There's just 5 minutes and that's it. And it's in a 40-minute subplot. I'm just surprised
Oh,
that
good
they
God.
didn't like like put more if that was like what they thought of Dorn.
Just make it more explicit on the fucking nose, like Ryan Johnson or something.
I guess so. I don't know, but it's just kind of like, well, Ryan Johnson is not as these two. I
was talking about being so hand-fisted with their messages.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. David Benioff and D.B. Weiss are not ham-fisted.
It's just these faces, these actors' faces. That's all they do.
These performances, these faces.
I'll be back in a sec.
Word.
Yep. TPGF.
Yeah. Free love. Yeah. That'll be why my Brazilian relatives are all happily married and monogamous. Yeah. There's a strong Catholic presence in Brazil, just factually. That's like the state religion practically. And Catholics don't look kindly on that sort of thing. Like
No. If you want free love, you have a better chance at getting it in the equivalent of Greece and Italy.
Europe. Yeah, Europe's got a lot of that. But like people in like it's kind of almost like it's famous. Like Adriana Lima, who is a famous Victoria's Secret model, like said like, no, I'm waiting until I get married. Like that's just how it's gonna be. And like, she's a firm Christian believer, and it's like, yeah, that's how it is. Like most of the people in there are rather religious, and like they don't. It's kind of it's a weird like stereotype. It's a weird South American stereotype that isn't accurate, and these two idiots actually believe it.
Yeah, and it's like, and I said, Italy and Greece specifically because I'm referencing the Greco-Roman Empire, which had paid legal prostitution in the temples.
It's very different now.
Yes, it is different now, but back in
like 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, back 2,000 years ago, there was free love there.
Yeah,
2,000 years ago was happening, man.
Yeah.
Party like it's 1 AD, man.
Party like it's 180.
Yeah.
Come on, we need to do with the Romans. Well, the Romans had raging orgies.
Yeah. Let's keep going, shall we?
Yeah.
So Martin considered his new characters essential. The showrunners felt their show had to stay focused on its existing cast and maintain the momentum of its established storylines. Then why'd you insert Dorn?
Yes, why?
For no reason. There you go.
Yeah.
That was my answer.
Yeah. Just like, Italy is the home of the Pope. I get your point. Yeah, it used to be like, because Romans used to hump anything and everything, including
it's
now that
it
like,
didn't make a difference if it was a guy or if it was a girl.
It gets
They'd
kind of
still do it.
Oh,
yeah.
Bestiality was frequently done in Rome. It was anything and everything. It was free
yes.
Because
for the aristocracy, certainly, yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh my. Oh my.
By that point, Rome starting to decline. So shows them what debauchery got them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I remember Rome.
Yeah. So by season 5, Thrones was bursting at the seams with up to 30 series regulars and darting between 8 stories set in different locations. Dany fighting in Marine, Cersei struggling with Faith Militant, Sansa dealing with Ramsay and Winterfell. That's not in the books. She's in the Eyrie. Way different spot. Brienne traveling in the north. She's in the Riverlands in the books. Arya trained the House of Black and White. That's accurate. Jon navigating his newfound relationship with Castle Black. That's accurate. Stannis and Sir Davos marching their army south. Davos is going to see good old Mr. Whale in White Harbor. Wyman
Too
Man.
fat to ride a horse or something like that.
Lord Too Fat to Ride a Horse. Yeah.
Is it the man with the two Is it a man that literally has tits?
No comment.
I think so, maybe.
Yeah, because I think I know who you're talking about. Was he that guy that Danny and Viserys knew?
No, that's
No,
Illyrium.
that's someone else.
That's Illyrium Opatus. Wyman Mandry is one of the guys in the council who says, Lady Mormont speaks harshly and truly. Lee, I didn't want more
In the
men.
show.
Thing. Yeah. And it's just like, it's so frustrating because they obviously cut out stuff that had him based on like the casting reports because he's set to gain a ability to say a speech in like the casting calls, and they just gave that speech to to teeny weeny Lyanna Mormont because they lost the original ending because they're nuts.
Oh my
so
gosh.
another last minute change.
Fucking
Well, that's more. That's because they were stupid in terms of their time management and filmed.
oh my gosh,
Well,
that reminds me of
you
fucking
don't you
them changing Stannis with Jon Snow, and they're like, the North doesn't remember, and it makes me feel like that really much.
Oh yeah, God, that was awful.
Yeah, and
Why?
Jaime trying to rescue Marsala and Dorne, and he's in the Riverlands trying to finish off the rebellion in the Riverlands. Dorne just does its own thing. You added that in impulsively. That is a fact. The timelines indicate that it was a rushed, impulsive decision because
No, you forget, in the Game of Thrones universe, they have jetpacks, so yeah.
apparently
Not jetpacks.
apparently
No, not jetpacks. A giant teleport. Giant
Time
teleport.
just doesn't exist there.
Wait, there's time?
Time has no meaning.
Yeah.
Doesn't like every place the main characters leave just go gray and just and freeze time?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So that's a lot of story. So much in fact, Thrones was occasionally leaving major characters out of certain episodes or gave them just a few minutes of screen time. Even though series regulars are paid for episode produced, whether they're used or not. One major arc, Bran's journey to becoming three-eyed Raven, was sidelined the entire fifth season, and for some reason, he becomes king at the end of the show.
Wait, they actually said that for some reason, and they just unaware of what they're saying.
No, I
Is that
didn't.
you
No,
or
he said,
them?
like, it was, no, that was me. So what it says is the only thing that it says was he was sidelined for an entire fifth season. I'm like, and yet he becomes king. Great.
No, I thought he wrote that. I'm like, oh my god, did he not just wrote that?
No.
Dude, so what kind of name? What
That
kind
would
of,
have been incredibly tone deaf.
dude, what kind of title is Brandon Broken?
It's stupid. Let's keep going. The Hound was likewise benched that year. Asking an actor to take a year off is risky or expensive. Is always risky or expensive, as they need to be kept under contract so that they get snatched up by other projects. Also, a lot of storylines meant that Thrones had grown from filming with 2 units to occasionally using 4, dubbed Wolf, Dragon, and White Walker, and Raven. Those 4 units shooting an ambitious fantasy series at the same time was a madcap juggling act that was very tough on the crew and made it difficult for the producers to maintain quality. Oh, great! Now we're
It's
okay.
the same philosophy of it's the same philosophy of stretching your supply lines. Right, when you're unable to keep track of it all, and the logistics of it all starts to fall apart.
Well, there's also kind of the thing of he's saying it was hard, guys, and I imagine it is, but it's saying it was really hard. The showrunners had no choice but to make it less good because they didn't have time. But
they could have hired more people.
It's like they had, they could have avoided needing to do so, mind you.
You mean actual have writers? You mean?
Because
what you mean?
What the hell are you talking about?
It's like yes, you could stretch your supply lines, but here's the a way that'll make it less strain on your supply lines. Actually, plan out the logistics.
Actually plan, yeah. That's all you need to do. You actually have to have a plan. That's it.
What is that? I never have a plan.
It was their choice to have less time.
Do I look like I have a plan?
Yeah.
It was their choice to have less time.
Yeah. In other words, adding more characters and locations to Thrones from a practical storytelling production standpoint seemed totally impossible. Though to be fair, making a totally impossible adaptation was always part of the deal. Martin made it clear on the outset he was writing a story that was shattering storytelling conventions, so it's perhaps not surprising that the author would continue to find new ways of doing so. David Benioff, we didn't want to do a 10-year adaptation of the books. Then don't.
Why?
This
show made you dumb-witted half-wit. No.
We didn't want to spend 4 years with Danny and Marine. We were.
That's why they didn't have time, because they didn't want to.
Yeah, that's also another thing. They were incredibly
They didn't
impatient.
want
Like,
it.
it's
Oh
like,
my god, they didn't want it. I don't want it.
yeah, that's the most important thing to know about. That's actually one of the important things to know about this. They didn't want to do the long haul. They wanted the shorts. They wanted the shortcut money. They wanted the fast, easy money.
No, they wanted to do the wed wedding. Remember, that's all they wanted to do.
And then they just kind of. Oh, it gets worse. Okay, so.
Don't you mean it gets better?
It gets better. It gets effing better.
If we were to remain entirely faithful to the Feast for Crows, half the characters, the most popular characters, would be absent from the screen. There'd be no Tyrion, no Dany, no Arya, no Jon Snow. It's all ways of adapting the series as a whole and following the map George laid out for us in the major milestones, but not necessarily each of the steps on the way. It's an adaptation.
You don't always need the main cast to make it interesting.
There's
Yeah,
also-
you don't. You
there's
really
the
don't. Some people's favorite characters are minor characters.
Yeah.
Pick
Well, the
pick
thing
any
is-
book and pick a minor character, and that character will have a following.
Well, the
For
thing
example,
is,
like remember the Flash Thompson? Me, I wouldn't want to fight me either.
well, the thing is, it's not even that there are no it's even like the minor characters of the show don't show up in Feast for Crows for the most part. So George R. R. Martin talked about how like he thought they were going to do it. So I thought Feast for Crows and Dance with Dragons would be recombined because you can't separate them the way I did in the books. And I thought there were 3 seasons there, at the very least 2 seasons, but they got through it all in 1 season because they eliminated so much. They really started taking shortcuts and cutting things.
Yeah, that's a very, very bad idea.
Yeah,
I got a bad feeling about this.
They eliminated Lady Stoneheart and Quentin Martell in his voyage across the world, and Tyrion's journey as he goes to Pentos and hooks up with Magister Illyrio. And then he crosses the hills and meets up with John Connington and Aegon on the river, and they make a long journey down the river to the Valance, and they encounter Jorah
I
Mormont.
wanted to see that part. Really.
Over that. David Benioff, we don't get bonus points for being strictly faithful to the book.
Oh,
Sake!
I need to write that down. Hold on, repeat that.
Actually, yes, Mr. Benioff, you do get bonus points for being a good adaptation.
Oh, he
yes,
literally.
you do.
That is a verbatim quote from the book. He said, "We don't get bonus points for being strictly faithful to the books. That doesn't give us anything extra."
Yes, you do, you freaking moron.
Okay,
Well,
I need
you don't have to be strictly faithful, but you can still be faithful.
Yeah.
Like, reasonably faithful.
Yeah, let me, show.
We don't get bonus points. We don't get bonus points.
For
This is
being
tragic.
faithful to the source material. Wrong. Yes, you do.
This
Hey,
is a tragic
quick,
movie story.
Quick, Dunt, play that nostalgia critic clip.
Which
Please.
one?
Oh, it's the survey says.
Yeah, let me find it.
Yeah. Survey says. That's what I thought.
Yep. Survey says bullshit. Yep. That's what I thought.
The book's writing is way better than yours, you dimwit. Of course you get bonus points because you'll actually get points on the board, if that's what you're thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, just for me alone, the spectacle of the sunken city alone is not worth it to me.
Yeah. So.
And not to mention that chess game with Tyrion and young Griff throwing a
One
fit.
of the reasons why a whole lot of adaptions fail because they take the source material and they change it so much that it might as well be in name only.
There are books that work because
Yeah,
that
but
work
I'm
because
not
they
just
change it,
talking about books. I'm talking about
well,
adaptations in general.
yeah,
Like, for example, the Death Note. Like, I'm going to say something very controversial here that's going to get me hanged by the collective anime community, but the Netflix and Death Note adaptation is actually a pretty good film, and it actually is quite good.
one example is that Ready Player One is a much better story because the book is bad. The book is really bad.
Legend of Zelda anime.
Yeah.
Excuse me, princess.
Let's keep going. We'll have an in-name. We'll have adaptations and their faithfulness and whether or not they're quality or not at another time. That'll actually be a stream topic since that might be interesting to discuss. Maybe we'll do that Wednesday. How about that?
But I only brought it up because of the comment. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
We'll go more in depth later.
Yeah. For every decision, there's a fork in the road, and the fork to the left is strictly adhering to the books, and to the right is what's better for the series. We're always going to
God! Act as if those two things are
Like, you know what's best for this show, you dumb piece of
What? What?
mutually exclusive. Those things are not mutually exclusive, you idiots.
What I just knew.
Huh?
down the show. I'm just gonna write down what the showrunner thinks he knows best, or something.
Yeah, go ahead.
What did you just? What did you? What did I miss?
Okay. So he said, like, if there's a fork in the road and the fork to the left is strictly adhering to the books and the right is what's better for the series, we're always going to take that path to the right.
Oh.
Bull crap.
So.
Sorry about that sneeze. I thought I just heard a bunch of bull.
2 books.
Oh.
Versus what's best for the series.
But you're fucking wrong! You're so fucking wrong! You're wrong! You're lying!
Yep. Basically.
Yeah. I didn't realize I thought I would mostly use that on Kirk camera, but I didn't end up using it. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you were just getting fucking brain raped by that. Thanks, Dunn.
Hee hee. Hee hee.
Yeah, the bit where he beats
I'm
up
gonna
the
go
heretic.
find your castle and burn it to the freaking ground. I have explosive tism fire breath. Remember, I'm from the TV show.
Unless it's a rock in which you can't get a pat, and as Jon Snow's of impenetrable force fields around that rock.
Oh no!
So, just make sure you hide behind the right
that
wall.
rock was missing. I think Dunn might have took it. Damn it! He knew my plan all along.
Yeah, I love that. That's the meme that's been continued. That it's the frickin' explosives of Morocco.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous.
Of course, that's a meme now, though, because my God, I can't believe they actually got away with this.
I am amazed as well. So, George R. R. Martin. I thought they had 3 years. I thought I had 3 years to get out the next book, and suddenly I was racing to get it out before season 5. I realized season 5 was supposed to come out April of 2015, and my publisher said, if we get it in by the end of the year, we can rush it out in March. And I said, okay, I can get this one book out before the next season. And then it became...
Yeah, we're still waiting for that.
Famous last words.
Yep.
Yeah, this is 5 years ago. Oh my gosh. It became clear I wasn't going to have it done by the end of the year. It really took a lot of wind out of my sails. Suddenly, they were ahead of me. I should have gotten the last 2 books out sooner. They shouldn't have rushed. The producers attempted to represent Martin's new characters. The show introduced the Sand Snakes and Dorn, who are some of the worst characters.
No.
That's self-awareness.
They had
No, wow.
taken the books and done what you said, which is plan 2 to 3 seasons for those 4 books, 4 and 5, you'd have been just fine.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why they kept the Sand Snakes when they got rid of Ariane and Quentin. Why did they? The Sand Snakes would not be my pick for characters to take even from the books. They're just not that brilliant even in the books.
And they're so bad in the show.
Really help us.
And then added Euron Greyjoy to the show. So in that one sentence, they include the 2 worst characters, the 2 worst things in the show. The show introduced the Sand Snakes in Dorne and had Euron Greyjoy in the Iron Islands. Like Hot Topic Pirate called Hot Topic Pirate, or Fisher Price Jack Sparrow.
He's the rock star.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Are they actually acknowledging this?
No. They're just saying like the show added. So the sentence in its entirety is the show introduced the Sand Snakes and added Euron Greyjoy. Oh, yeah. That is it.
Oh yeah, the Captain Jack Sparrow knockoff.
Yeah. Instead of a dude who's actually scary, who's like psycho, like legit psycho.
So
But
instead of Captain Blackbeard, we get Jack Sparrow.
Dollar General, Dollar Store Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, not even.
Not even Blackbeard. He's way more scary than Blackbeard.
Finger in the bum.
No, like basically this guy is a warlock who wants to ascend. Is a crazy warlock who believes he can ascend to godhood by using the blood of holy men in order to rouse a kraken, in order to destroy and his enemy fleet.
I'm gonna be a mute for a while, so I'll see you guys. I'll be listening, but I'll just be mute.
Yeah, that's what he's going to try and do in the books. Like he believes that he can ascend to godhood.
Yeah, think of their scariest villain possible. That's him.
Yeah. So, but the Jettison character fans clamored to see the most was one who only had a couple of cryptic appearances in the books, Lady Snowheart. At the end of Storm of Swords, Catelyn Stark was resurrected from her red wedding fate as the silent undead Spectre of Vengeance. The reveal is one of the most shocking moments in the books. The character also appears in one more subsequent chapter, but its purpose to readers is not yet clear. George R. Martin, whether she has a role in the books, whether it's sufficient or interesting enough, I think it is, or I wouldn't have put her in. It's one of the things I wanted to show with her is that the death she suffered changes you. David Benioff. There was never really much debate about including Lady Stoneheart. There was that one great scene.
Except you didn't.
Yeah, and then Dan Weiss says that was the only debate. The scene where she first shows up is the best holy crap moment and one of the best holy crap moments in the books. I think that scene is where the public response came from. But then David Benioff, we can't go into detail. Part of the reason we didn't want to put it in with and had to do with things coming up in George's books that we didn't want to spoil by discussing them. Oh, sod off! You're spoiling things from the books already. Part of it. Oh gosh, that's so frustrating.
Okay, so what was that line? We something. We didn't.
We can't go into detail. Part of the reason we didn't want to put it in had to do with things coming up in George's books that we didn't want to spoil by discussing them.
Yeah. Sorry, done, but fuck off.
Yeah, go fuck.
Go fuck yourself. Benioff.
Oh, that's frustrating. That's really frustrating.
Hey, I got a perfect solve for this. Let me find real quick.
Yeah, I'm just like,
Is also nowhere to be found in this film.
That's frustrating. Like, you're already spoiled it. It's just like, ugh. Part of it too was that we knew we had Jon Snow's resurrection come up. Too many resurrections start to diminish the impact of characters dying.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so Okay. So, thing is, they had already had a character resurrected. Already. And then, in the books, he resurrects Catelyn and dies in order to resurrect her. Jon Snow, nobody knows how he's going to get resurrected. The assumption is that he's warged into his direwolf, and that they pulled the direwolf, his brain out of his direwolf's head, back into his body. That's the current show. That's a current idea.
That's not how biology works.
That's not.
His mind, maybe, or his soul, or something.
Yeah.
Not the brain. That'd be kind of gross.
Ew.
Yeah. So so it wouldn't have changed anything if Jon Snow's resurrection came up and they had that moment with Lady Stoneheart. It wouldn't have changed anything. That would have been a great end of episode scene with Merritt Frey being hanged. It would have been really creepy as an end of episode, beginning of season 4, or end of season.
It's as long as you're not resurrecting people and there are no consequences for doing so, it's
not bad. Too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad. But if you resurrect someone and their personalities completely change, or they don't remember something, or they're actual brain-eating zombies, it's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if it's a Dragon Ball Z style resurrection, then you have problems.
This next part is so frustrating.
Oh dear.
And Catelyn's last moment was so fantastic, and Michelle is such a great actress. To bring her back as a zombie who doesn't speak felt like diminishing returns. I thought you would have wanted that silent face acting, Mr. Benioff, because these performances, these faces are your fetish.
Yeah, you would think so.
Which is so weird. It's partially because, he wanted to... I think it's partially because they wanted to minimize magic as much as possible.
Yeah, for the normies.
Yeah. Since it is
but
kind of...
But the normies love magic!
They kind of do, yeah. Normies love Harry Potter. Normies love Star Wars. Normies love Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, there's not that much magic in relatively Lord of the Rings, but Harry Potter, there's globes of magic. I mean, that's the whole point of it.
It's the whole point is that it's a magic school.
Yeah. So another popular mythological aspect of the book that was pared back was the direwolves, which are a larger role. The issue with direwolves wasn't storytelling or lack of interest, but it was a technical challenge. That makes sense. Once the wolves become larger than ordinary, the show struggled to find ways of portraying them convincingly. Since they were able to use dogs in their first season, they then filmed real wolves and used CGI to make them larger. Even so, there's a degree of uncanniness that became just hard to disguise. Dan Weiss, we did some testing.
I would have to see the bigger direwolves to make that kind of decision.
The only one that kind of, I would say, looks uncanny is in season 2 with Robb Stark and Grey Wind. There's kind of a feeling like the wolf is not totally there. There's only like when it's close-ups, there's kind of the sense that it is there. So I guess. So we did some testing, and at a certain point they look unreal. We needed a nice balance with them. David Benioff, with dragons you get a real leeway. You don't say, well, that doesn't look like a real dragon. Dragons are they're also easier to animate because they don't have fur. That is actually true.
One thing they could have done with the direwolves is they could have used one of the really, really big dog breeds as a stand-in.
So there are limitations to...
No, I know that. But use the dog as a stand-in and then CGI the dog. Yeah.
That still creates problems because the direwolf is about.
I know,
the
but
value
I'm
of
thinking
a pony. You can't get a
using
pony-sized dog.
I'm thinking using something like Marmaduke or something. Because those dogs are absolutely huge.
Yeah, they are. I think one problem is that the proportions are not quite right. Also, the fur is thicker, so there would have been technical problems either way.
Yeah, but it still probably would have looked better had they used
I think that
Marmaduke or something.
Well, I think that they look mostly like the direwolf scenes. They look fine. It's just that the show decided to like write them out and write around having them there.
And
decided
well,
to just
there
say,
is.
They are not appearing in this film, which is frustrating.
Well, the thing about that is that there are documentaries that do complete CGI of dire wolves, and they look fine in that.
Yeah.
So it's like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
If you CGI it properly, it looks fine.
Yeah, that could also relate to budget problems.
Of course, it comes back to their freaking budgeting problems.
Hey, at least I managed our budget better.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
We don't have one. We don't have one.
Exactly, because there's exactly the easier part is that when there's no budget to manage, it gets easier to manage.
Yeah, Dan Weiss. Okay, Dan Weiss. With a wolf, you have a million years of evolution telling you what they're supposed to look like. Yeah. The show had constraints, and the wolves were very challenging to pull off in a way that looked good.
And
just hire Weta Workshop. They already did a bunch of wolves for the Narnia movies, and those actually look good, better than the friggin' BBC Narnia. BBC
yeah,
Narnia
and if you went to the La Brea tar pits, you could have looked at an actual skeleton, and you would have had something to use for the CGI.
Well, not quite. It's mainly they just amped up the size of real wolves. You don't. That's basically like what a dire wolf in George's.
They're stockier. No, they're stockier.
Yeah.
Their bones are much thicker.
Yeah, but it's just they decided to basically just use as their model. They just use real wolves and press Control Plus. Which works fine, I guess, but it's just the problem. Yeah. The Annals in the Narnia movies still hold up. 10 years later, I think, was when the last movie came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's partially because Weta has to be better because they're paid less than they have to, just because
they actually have budget magic skills.
Well, no, it's the fact that people in Los Angeles, say, are paid more than people in New Zealand for doing the same job, just by virtue of the fact that they are in New Zealand. And there's a lot of people go to New Zealand because there's a lot of budget cuts that you can get from filming in New Zealand. And they're recently repealing some of those laws so that they can actually start their own film business down in New Zealand. But for the most part, it's they're providing a film service by providing tax cuts to places like Warner Brothers. Others than
James well, that's not going to be around much longer then.
Nope. Hello, Part 12 Heroes. First Narnia film came in 2005. Yeah, so 12 years since Prince Caspian. Yeah. So what then do the direwolves mean? Their fates are loosely connected with the fate of each dark. John's direwolf was Ghost, which is appropriate for a man who rises from the dead. Brand direwolf is Summer, the opposite supernatural force that Brand destines to confront. He doesn't confront them. He just stares at him, and his kid sister kills it.
Well, that's how you kill things. You just stare at them until they die.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
These deadly performances, these deadly faces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Direwolf lady got killed by the Lannister. She was caught by them as well. Rob Stark's Direwolf Grey Wind got killed by crossbow bolts, just like his master. Shaggy Dog was slain by men loyal to Ramsay Bolton, and then he died because of Ramsay later. And Nymeria was chased into the Arya's Nymeria got chased in the wind, where she found her strength and independence. That's not you, Arya told Nymeria when she was reunited with her wolf in season 7, echoing her online "That's not me" to her father in season 1. Ugh. Which is weird because in the books, Nymeria and Arya's connection is so strong that she can warg into her wolf or see through her wolf's eyes from across an ocean.
The bond between man and their fellow dog is strong.
Yeah. Yeah. Arya and Nymeria are lone wolves. They can't go back to the way things were. There's also a foreshadow for what Arya was going to encounter when she reunited with her family.
Doubt.
Nymeria created her own world and created her own pack and wasn't ready to be Arya's pack. To be somebody's pet would reverse everything she's learned. So they just regard each other and go their separate ways. That's a very deep misunderstanding of Arya's character. Like, Arya throughout the books is seeing constantly through Nymeria's eyes, and she's using Nymeria to do things like kill Bolton soldiers or drag her mom's dead body out, and then that's what revives her. It's very, very, like, Nymeria and isn't a lone wolf. They have a really deep connection in the books.
Yeah, that sounded ex post facto to me.
Yeah, this is very much a justification for BS.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, this is Mark from the BS department. I spawn Major BS here.
Yeah, and we haven't gotten to season 5 yet, officially. We haven't gone to the real BS.
Oh, this is just a prolegomena.
Yeah, I guess. And so the direwolves were supposed to mean more than they ended up meaning, according to Brian Cartman. A lot of plans for the direwolves ended up not coming to fruition. Even in the first season, cut out a lot of direwolves because even though we were just using dogs, because dogs couldn't execute the scene, it would just take too long. Satisfied? The direwolves represent the spirit of the North. I think the direwolves represent the spirit of the North and the soul of House Stark and the soul of the characters. It's no accident when Sansa was killed and Lady was killed and Sansa was left on her own, and it was no accident that Grey Wind was put in a cage, and it was no accident that Nymeria found her independence and went her own way. But we never really wanted to lean too heavily on the spirit animal trope of it all. Oh. What?
Bugger off.
Oh, come on.
Oh, fuck you all.
Oh, man.
Yes, just fuck him.
Yeah.
Say it like it. Say it to me, like gladly.
They are a spirit animal. Oh. And certainly in the books, the direwolves function in a different way. Jon and Arya are warriors in the books, and Sansa and Robb would have been, except their wolves died. I don't know that for a fact, but I assume so. So you know about Arya's warg thing. It's just budget issues. Oh my, yeah, that is true. Budget issues cut direwolves, but also let's spend 10k on a stair that didn't even end up being in the episode. Yep. At season 4, Martin decided to stop writing scripts for Thrones. He told the producers he needed to focus on finishing his novels.
You should have stayed.
Yeah,
Probably,
he really should have stayed.
Yeah. It wasn't much. David Benioff, it wasn't a contentious thing. It wasn't a screencast. He just felt like he needed to prioritize the book, and it made sense. And that made sense to So showrunners had to figure out how best to use what they knew of Martin's master plan to plot the remaining hours, and they emphasized the silver lining of their show surpassing the books. Oh, great. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Dan Weiss. We chose to see it as a great thing on both sides. There's this amazing world George has created, and now there are two versions out there. There's no reason we can see why you can't be thrilled and surprised and dismayed by both of these two different versions of this world. Ultimately, Martin and the showrunners are passionate creatives with a staggeringly complex tale in two different mediums.
Would you call Game of Thrones staggeringly complex?
No.
The show got convoluted in season 5.
Convoluted does not equal complex,
Yeah,
though.
well, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I just like, no. I'm like,
Yeah. Survey says that's what I thought.
Yep.
it drastically simplified stuff from the books because there's a lot more moving pieces. I need to watch Jupiter Ascending. I need to actually watch it. It is on Netflix.
I think it is.
From what I have heard, it's weird. It's basically like the Wachowskis knowing that they are not going to get other movie, and so they have the movie have 2 third acts, so they can defeat both of the bad guys. There's also odd things like, I have more in common with canines than you.
I'm sorry, but there's
a dog-wolf hybrid, and apparently bees on Earth can detect space royalty by swirling around them.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very creative. It's very creative. I admit I have not seen this. I've just heard people talk about it, and it just like, this just seems like a crazy space movie that's kind of from the same makers as Cloud Atlas, which is its own braid of crazy. Yeah, it is very creative, but it's really weird. It is really, really weird. By all accounts, I've only and I've seen bits of it where it's just like, wow, that CGI, that weird elephant human hybrid is interesting. And it's one of the films where Sean Bean doesn't die, which is interesting.
Oh.
So, despite their occasional disagreements, each side is respectful of the other, even in private. David and Dan.
Did you say occasional disagreements between Martin and Hoo-Ha?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
They never, Benioff and Weiss never failed to express their magnitude of their respect for Martin's writing, while Martin is grateful to the show, and the showrunners did a good job overall despite aspects he wishes were different. Dave Benioff, we don't always agree on everything, but we have in the series, but we have a great relationship. One thing that Dan did really right that I couldn't have done if I was the showrunner is the vast majority of our Emmys are for below the line costuming, set decoration, stunt work, and so on. They put together an incredible team of craftsmen, some of whom were new to the industry or without a lot of credits. If it were me, I would have done what most of the people have done and picked people I'd worked with before who were competent. But would they have been the extraordinary people David and Dan found? True. But there is let me see. That's not David and Dan, and in many respects, David and Dan worked against the creatives, like with Dorn. Michelle Clafton said it was a nightmare working on these costumes. It is the worst thing I've created, and I hate them. I hate the costumes, not them.
That's not in this book, is it?
No. Okay, so Martin's comment brings up a frequent point by those interviewed by this book. So a cast and crew for David Benioff never received enough public credit for their hands-on involvement with the non-writing aspects of the production, from supervising filming to overseeing development with a variety of departments. That's called micromanaging. And that's overworking yourself because you don't delegate well and you don't work well with others. That's
you really need to learn how to manage your time and delegate when you don't have enough.
Yeah. The showrunners received praise and criticism for story elements. The criticism is in what is it? In parentheses. Interesting. But few outsiders realize other facets of Game of Thrones production likewise bore their fingerprints. Deborah Riley. David and Dan don't get the credit they deserve for being the leaders they are.
Well, genius is always unrecognized in its own time.
Yeah. Survey says that's what I thought.
Oh, down before
We're getting a lot of mileage out of that one.
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, that part, like, Battle of the Bastards and Dorne alone say that is BS.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like no, I like.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. Okay. They gathered a team of workaholic perfectionists who they trusted with their work. We were all allowed to get on with our jobs, but it was always their vision that we were trying to fulfill. They would approve everything.
Out, guys.
Yeah, they would have to approve everything. We wouldn't put anything on set that they had not seen. So the sheer volume of work they were presented with that they would have to comment on or provide advice about was phenomenal. I cannot bear to have them criticized. Miss Riley, they overworked you to, like, Deborah Riley is a saint. Deborah Riley's awesome.
Hi, I'm back.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Fuck these hotspots.
Yeah.
So Deborah Riley said she can't bear to hear them criticized.
After I think that's really interesting because in the
did I hear anything? Did you guys say anything stupid while I was gone?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So many bad things. So Sybil Keckley, Shay, Dave and Damp took really good care of us. They'd invite us into their house in Belfast to have Thanksgiving dinner. No, they didn't. Well, but let's keep going. They invited us to have the dinner at their house with Thanksgiving dinner with our families. They took 2 actors to dinner every night, then 2 other actors dinner the next night. They really tried to make sure we had a good time on days off. Lena Headey, David and Dan were always there. They were there 24/7. They couldn't just leave and sit in an office. They were there. But for Martin, being creatively involved with Game of Thrones and come to know it publicly became increasingly difficult after season 5. Yeah.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why.
No. I don't see any reason.
Yeah.
Good God. So dumb.
What? What?
This fucking book is just absolute horseshit.
Well, it literally begins with that. So hey,
How can an author talk about what? How can an author talk about, for instance, the Battle of the Bastards, when he likely has his own very different yet still unpublished version of the same battle in their mind? That's not going to be a battle in the books. John's going to
No,
be
it's not.
dead. John is dead currently, and Stannis is going to kill Amsey Bolton. That's the likeliest option because it's going to take a while to revive John.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah. Dan Weiss, the differences between the show and book became difficult to track in parallel. It's almost like George was in a weird science fiction movie trying to keep two similar but different universes in his mind at the same time. George R. R. Martin, it was an incredible ride, and almost all of it has been great. The show is the end for a lot of people. It is not the end for me. I'm still deeply in it. I better live a long time because I have a lot of work to do left to do.
Better.
I'm back. What did I miss?
If you wrote instead of watching American football on TV.
I don't.
No comment.
What? I'm sorry. What did I miss?
Oh, GRRM again.
Oh, so the next. Oh wow, the next chapter is only 7 pages.
Oh.
Are we done with this one already?
Yeah, we're already done. Yeah, we're already done.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So let's just quickly read through A Detour to Dorne, which is 7 pages.
Oh, what's his name? The Dragon of Man wants us to comment on something with regard to Dorne.
Well, one thing I can comment on, he has a 4-hour documentary on the behind the scenes of Dorne.
Oh yeah, I watched it.
They're covering this in 7 pages. It's like, we do not want to talk about the bad production that Dorne had. No.
Something from the first chapter about Stonehenge and horses.
Yeah, something like that.
Let me see if I can find it somewhere in.
Stonehenge horses.
It's kind of like, let me find.
It's somewhere in the.
Let me bookmark it. Let me bookmark.
It's somewhere in the Discord. I'm trying to find it, but my computer is being my computer.
Chapter 1. Okay, so what it says is, wait, what the? Okay, so with Martin, so you can have. Okay, so it's kind of like the limitation. It's about the limitations of TV. So it's like you can't have Stonehenge and horses. It's basically the idea of you can't throw in everything in the kitchen sink and into it. You have to put limitations on yourself because you can't have Stonehenge and horses at the same time. Like, you can't film Stonehenge and a horse charge. You have to choose one or the other. So they decided to use Stonehenge on foot. So,
but they did lots of stupid things with horses too.
They did, so they might as well have done it.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see.
So, not all of, so George R. R. Martin. Some of George R. R. Martin's characters were not reserved for the page from Feast for Crows and Dance with Dragons. The producers added Dorne as a new location, introduced Oberyn Martell's trio of illegitimate daughters, the Sand Snakes, who wanted vengeance for Daddy's death. Even just adding this Sand Snakes required some concessions. In the books, there were 8 Sand Snakes. The show was originally planned to introduce 4 and ended up with 3. Oberyn, Nymeria, and Tyene. Oberyn Martell, Elzla Paramore, Ilaria Sam was combined with another character to serve as Tyene's mother. The result was one of Throne's most unique storylines, but one that garnered mixed reactions and sometimes struggled to feel like an organic part of the show.
Oh, good God.
Wow.
I wonder if I should-
Dragon Demand spends 2 hours on the production problems of Dorn and 2 hours on the story problems. This is going to cover it in 7 pages. Are you nuts?
Yeah, they really don't want to talk about this thing.
Yeah, I'm just wow. That's BS. Okay,
Yeah.
Brian Cogman.
Oh, I found it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Count Valerian, I urge you and your group to reread those specific pages, rewatch that specific 5-minute clip of your earlier podcast on Chapter 1 about D&D meeting with GRRM and discussing Stonehenge and the Horse. Rewatch that brief section before your podcast dissecting that chapter on the Season 5 storyline, or at least remember to mention it during the introduction to that video. These guys who were promising Stonehenge and the Horse when they started, not only one, suddenly found they were not capable of fitting in every storyline haphazardly. Talented writers could have, but they couldn't. So they bizarrely blamed the books, while two, in doublethink, still being proud that we filmed the unfilmable books because we spent money on giant sets.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's what he said. And let me see if I can get into
Valerian, I read ahead a little bit and
But wait! It gets worse!
It gets better.
It doesn't get effing better.
Fucking better.
Yeah. So it does do that too. Does do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets better. It gets fucking better. Okay.
So Dorn is always tricky. When you read the book, it's essentially a spin-off within the book. It's really compelling, it's really interesting, but it's entirely new cast of characters. It only links up with the main storyline through Marcella. And then it links to young Griff, who's another character they cut out. For a long time, I didn't think we were going to do it. Season 5 was not the time when you normally introduce 25 new characters. Okay.
Why?
So, David Benioff. There weren't a lot of ways to cram it in, but it's such an important place. Of all the aces in Westeros you'd ever want to settle, the Dornish seem to have it figured out in terms of their approach to life.
No.
Holy cow.
What about approach to life? What do you say about approach to life?
They seem to have it figured out in relation to like
Oh my god.
This like free sex things. It's like
Okay, I see.
weird
Dorn approach to life from a bigger.
It's important to know the Dornish way of life of fucking everything you see, I guess.
Yeah, only it's just they're tolerant of like sexuality and they don't particularly care about same-sex relationships as much as the rest of Westeros does, because the Faith of the Seven is very much a
Conservative.
Yeah.
Traditional morality.
Yeah, they're very conservative, very medieval Catholic morality when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
And here comes the best part. And in Dira Varma, once you have someone of her caliber, you're doubling down on that casting strength. Oh my gosh.
These
Good
these
lord.
characters, these faces.
Oh, just more of that, and it's getting to be very
Trying to.
Yeah, at least they think that is. They're wrong, but they think that way
Wrong.
because they're really, really stupid.
Well, yes.
That's done. They're allowed to think the wrong thing.
It's written in the Constitution by the spiders. This is known.
Okay, so I can think that murder is okay.
No, that's the wrong thing.
Oh, that's handy. Can I steal money from random people?
You're not even American.
Only if it's
Valeria.
written in the Constitution by the spiders.
Well, I do. Well, it does say in the spiders that I have the right to bear firearms. It doesn't say anything about how I can use them.
Oh, that's perfectly true.
Wait, can we go back to that first line again? He says about something about the most important thing or something.
Okay, so there weren't a lot of ways to cram Dorne in. But it's such an important place. Of all the places in Westeros you'd ever want to settle, the Dornish seem to have it figured out in terms of approach to life. It's like, wow, he's a terrible interview.
This is absolutely terrible.
Not a lot of time to cram it in, is that what they just said?
What?
Not a lot of time to cram it in.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of ways to cram it in, but it's an important place. Not because of the plot, not because of the structure. It's because of how it it's because of how they
because it's hot.
Yeah, it's because it's hot.
Because the ambiguously ground women are really hot. That's why.
Which is so weird. He doesn't, because there's not that much like sex in this. There's no sex. There's just like a lady flashes her tits. That's it.
Question mark. There we go.
You don't need to have actual sex.
That's what I wrote down. That pretty much David Benioff, Dornish had the best approach to life because sex? Question mark.
They don't even say.
No, like that's his explanation. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Cram it in by following the effing source material. You are adapting.
There's
Yes.
plenty of sex there. Pardon me a second.
This book is really frustrating the A Song of Ice and Fire fans. They really hate this book.
It's frustrating to me too, because it's just so freaking stupid.
It's entertaining in parts. I'll give it that.
Well, yeah, it is, but at the same time, it's really, dude. You're trying to make them look good, and you are absolutely failing.
Yeah. So, Brian Cogman, I propose that Amy would be a good in. You can take one of our main characters and use that as an audience surrogate into this new world. That might be a way that we could do a version of Dorne that fits within the framework and, frankly, within the time and budgetary constraints of the show. They didn't put it in the time and budgetary. They wrote a 40-minute subplot after the writing phase was done. Who's eating something?
I have no
Not me.
idea. I'm not feeling anything. I'm just looking at the screen, waiting for something to write.
I'm
Interesting.
not eating now. I was eating earlier, but no one noticed back then.
Oh, I just hear like crackling or something.
Maybe that's. I'm trying to write notes. Maybe that's what that is. I hope not, but maybe it is. Over here.
Thou can cram it in by following the effing source material you are adapting.
Yes.
No, it's not me. I just muted myself and that was happening.
So another advantage of adding Dorne was it gave the show an organic way to add more diverse actors to the cast.
What? They're claiming diversity was the reason now?
Yes.
For Christ's sake.
They don't even do it well.
There's a whole big thing the Dragon Demands has a whole video on how rubbish they are at.
Hello, this is
diversity on the show.
Wolf. He just managed to strangle himself with his headphones. He's no longer here.
Who?
His
did he die again?
Yeah.
No.
Wolf is being Tizamy.
No, I'm still living.
Yeah.
I'm just keeping silent through all this.
One long-term criticism of Thrones was that its core players were overwhelmingly white. It was a point that was raised more frequently during the show's later seasons.
I wonder why during the later season.
Fantasy
Because they're not, and also like they're
Britain.
No, diversity. That's all that matters.
They didn't do diversity well. That's the point. They did diversity really badly on the show.
Yeah, they're like a lot of people criticize that this is really racist.
Yeah, see the Dragon Demands video on the whole subject about how absolute rubbish they are at it, and there's one major cast character who's black.
Quinn from Ideas of Ice and Fire, who's an African American, he lambasted them relentlessly over this. He was really mad about how they did Dorn.
But everybody ignored him because the TV show, because like the freaking hype TV show people. I think
Yeah.
there was something about that, like they kicked him off a panel for something because he was talking smack about the show or something.
That
dear.
was
They were ignoring him because he
Con
just
of
wasn't cool.
Those Con of Thrones. It's
Because he wasn't sucking
by
the show's dick, I'm guessing.
Yeah, because
Yeah, pretty much.
Watchers on the Wall are bought and paid for shills, like,
And they're jerks.
This book, yeah, they're jerks as well. They also like refuse to comment on anything, even if it's factual, that will make the showrunners look bad because they get set photos and other things. So, at a point, studios were very much increasing the urge to make on and off camera diversity a bigger priority. So, and the casting director was initially explained the team's initial thinking. Even though there were fantasy words, there were tribes, fantasies, dynasties. Once you make one point of the canvas for the Targaryens to the Stark, you owe it to the authenticity of making them a family somehow. In the books, the Targaryens are these white people with silver hair and violet eyes. Starks are kind of rough Northern English people. The Lannisters are golden, aren't they? We really believed we were doing it like the books, basically.
No, you're trying to cater to a bunch of crazy people. That's
as long as you get
no.
good
I mean, this
people,
whole diversity thing. It's
I think that the diversity thing is a smokescreen. The diversity.
I think so too.
It's only so petty off here to look at ambiguously done women.
Because
ambiguously dumb women.
Because here's the thing. These guys don't care about being woke.
Yeah, I know. They're too dumb.
They don't care. They imagine that. But it's like they legit do not care. They are nihilists in the truest sense of the word. They believe in nothing. They don't even believe like a lot of people are saying like, oh, there's a higher theme. Like they're saying revenge is good by how they're writing Dorne. It's like no. They just want to show actor faces. They just want to show actor faces.
They just do random things randomly. They have no structure.
And
they just don't care.
They're just like, hey man, go with the flow, man. I feel like doing this now, so I'm gonna do this, man.
While they're drunk off their butts. Since
they are
everything drunk, they even make jokes about how they're showing up drunk.
Yeah, which is their Jude bro. They're kind of faux Jude bro thing going on.
Yeah. Let's keep going. So Jessica Henwick, Keisha Castle Hughes, Rosabelle Loretti Sellers, who played the Sand Snakes, were from different ethnic backgrounds and adopted their own twist for the Latin-inspired accent for the Pedro Pascal used for Oberyn Martell. The trio trained for once to learn weapon fighting and weapon skills. Barely any of that was shown, and it was terribly filmed because they were in a palace that did not give them freedom to shoot, and so it looks terribly.
They were on location when they should have been on set.
Yep. So Jessica Henwick, originally David and Dan planned to have Obara, Tyene, and Sorella. They wanted 4 sisters. Then they realized during casting that was going to be too many to introduce during a short time. We barely get characterization for any of these characters. Everybody hated the Sand Snakes. Oh man. Oh man. Ouch. Then okay, when I auditioned, they were thinking of cutting Nymeria, and I was like, no, because as a fan, that was the one I wanted. I auditioned 2 or 3 times, and Sorella, unfortunately, was lost. Sorella's not in Dorne. She's in Old Town. Well, there's 2 conflicting theories. One is that Sorella Sand is Shay. Another theory is that that she's in Old Town. There are a couple. There's a couple of different theories. The Shay one is considered more tinfoily because that's not likely. So, Castle Hughes, I knew that at season there would be a casting call for brown actors. My people, if you will, just keep pushing an annoying casting director Nina Gold, like her agent stuff. As soon as I got the part, we started training. A lot of my training was in martial arts of wushu. That was maybe 5 months of lead up that was barely utilized. I'm so frustrated by that. Jessica Henwick, my whip was a really scary weapon because you're just as likely to injure yourself. I hit myself so many times. I actually hit Rosabelle, the actress playing my younger sister, across her cheek. Dave Hill, ouch. I remember Dave Hill. I remember them at dinner the night before we first shot the Sand Snakes. The girls were so excited. They invented backstories for themselves, and they were running them by David and Dan and me. And David was making some of it up on the spot. They seemed super thrilled. None of which entered the show.
All that interesting detail gone.
Yeah. Indira Varma, it was so great to be inventing our own country, not just to be visitors in King's Landing. The previous season, I felt like I was a guest in someone else's show. Sand Snakes were introduced in a scene where Ilaria they plotted how to best to avenge Oberyn's death. They also tortured a sixth captain, buried up to his neck in sand with scorpions on his head to get information about Jamie coming from Lorne. Jessica Henwick is trial by fire from day one. Straight away, there's a real actor buried up to his neck in sand, real scorpions on his head, real whip, real camera, real crew. Let's go.
No!
You can do real scorpions. They've, one example was my mom for Fear Factor Live had scorpions, got her head put into a glass container, and scorpions were put onto her face. I have the picture still.
Oh God.
Yeah.
What they do is they just sterilize the tips or put glue around the tips so that there's no possibility of getting stung. So it's perfectly safe. It's basically like having a non-poisonous spider crawl over you, because the scorpion, it's creepy though. It's weird to look at. Yeah. The crew got out riot shields to protect themselves, and I remember the scorpion handler coming up to saying and being like, "Please don't kill my babies." Yeah, so this is Fear Factor Live, this is Fear Factor Live at Universal. So, Universal Studios theme park. She got up in front of a live audience and just had scorpions crawling over her. And
did they insist on real scorpions in this show?
Yep, they used real scorpions.
Ugh. Okay.
So, Indira Varma, I was so anxious about the scorpions, I kept forgetting my lines. That's funny. It was Dave Benioff. It was fun watching them together because they're three half sisters and constantly fighting, but it's a kind of family that if anyone else, like an outsider comes in, they band together and unify. That is not in the show.
I'm sorry, if it's not in the show, it's not canon.
I like to see how they always like to do everything real. It's kind of like their thing.
Is also nowhere to be found in this film.
I was about to say, because 70 live horses. This is a kind of a continuous thing they do.
Yeah, so
not just 70 live horses, but 70 live horses with only 2 freaking weeks to
train.
I bet these two probably didn't even think about if they didn't have any supervision, they would probably have the scorpions with the venom still in them.
Yep. 70 live cheetahs, as I think Becca Reed pointed out. That's 70 live cheetahs.
Yeah. Let's keep going. So it was really Keisha Castle Hughes. It was interesting because I felt the Sand Snakes moved as a unit. We didn't really have individual storylines. Mm-hmm. Mike Malloyd. It felt fine. One of the directors. It felt fine. They're really good actors, but it was not the awesome introduction to kick. kick-ass introduction to such important characters in the novel that I want it to be. If I'm being honest, it was difficult to find the characters beyond the kick-ass. I was trying to find a sense of family, which is massively key to all the show's characters. The balance between the intimate and the epic is exactly what's so brilliant about Game of Thrones. We'd always been successful in creating those bonds so the audience could latch onto the relationships. It didn't feel to me like it was gelling. So you admit the bad things were happening. Good. So Jessica Henwick, it was always acknowledged that it was going to be very hard to give each of us a storyline. Yeah, because they didn't write it properly.
They didn't write anything.
They had to introduce 3 new characters at once and differentiating. When you're limited to an introduction of 2 lines per character, and there's 4 characters in the scene during your introduction, it's hard to create a lasting impression. You kind of got to shove a character down an audience's throat, and Game of Thrones success is in its multifaceted characters.
No. That failed miserably. I don't know what you're talking about. There were archetypes like the quirky one, and then you have the. I don't remember this nice like too well. Help me out here.
There's only so now we get to kind of one of the only bits of production problems that they're going to mention. Like they're not going to mention the filming in a UNESCO World Heritage Site because they wanted to. Great.
Instead of building a freaking set, which they should have done.
Yeah. One element from that debut scene was changed in post-production. A leaked set photo revealed that Obara's original breastplate armor had nipples.
Nipples? Seriously? They were seriously gonna do that?
Nipple plates. Sounds awesome.
You really gotta protect those nipples. They're super.
They were seriously going to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Costume designer Michelle Clapton later admitted to New York Magazine that the Batman Forever-like design was slightly cheesy and a mistake due to the structure molds that were used and weren't noticed until filming was already underway. Because you didn't give her time to make it, because you wrote this mid-pre-production, not during the writing phase. Ironically, one expression from Martin's novels is like nipples on a breastplate, meaning that something is useless.
Yes.
Thanks to some CGI, the nipples were tweaked. Okay, so he actually uses the word tweaked.
Tweaked.
Oh god. Phrasing!
Yeah, that, but also like
Phrasing!
No phrasing needed.
But it's just like the fact that he says we're tweaked is
you
so
kill
weird.
my internet when you show your screen.
God.
This is quoted from an interview, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank heavens. It's not the writer writing his writer, but still.
No, it's actually the actor. No, it's the dude saying it. No, it's actually like him, like the writer saying we're tweaked. Yeah. Yeah.
Good God. Bless.
How do you do, fellow kids?
We actually got to use it!
Hey, hello there, Wolf.
Yep.
Yeah, I just haven't said anything because it's like, you know.
What professionalism?
It seems like you got yourself untangled.
People actually suffering from clinical delusion or psychosis. Well,
I think this might be a.
So, okay. So critics, even so, critics struggle with the Doran scenes. Every time we flash to beautiful Doran, they're just angrily trying to get revenge for Oberyn's, with no space for nuance or surprise. So it ends up feeling as if we're watching the same scene over and over again, wrote the Washington Post. One scene was singled out in particular, the fight in the House Martell Palace, the Water Gardens. Those were supposed to be the Water Gardens? I thought it was just the palace. That's weird. The setup is Jaime and Bronn are infiltrating, trying to kidnap the palace, trying to kidnap / rescue Myrcella when they're attacked by the Sand Snakes. In any other series, this sequence would have been perfectly suitable, but Thrones set a very high bar for its fight scenes.
What?
No.
High bar for fight scenes. You call those fight scenes?
Hey, I was about to say we can show it off, but we can't.
No. Even in something as cheesy as Legend of the Seeker, this scene would be considered bad. Like, just from a pure editing standpoint.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down. The Dorne fight scene, Water Garden fight scene was a high bar. Something.
No, it's in any other series, the sequence would have been perfectly suitable, but Thrones has set a high bar for fight scenes, so people were like complaining because all the other fight scenes were good, not that this was bad.
Well, from a swordsmanship, yeah, they're all the fight scenes are always tismy.
Yeah, like even like lightsaber fights, sword fight between Aragorn and Lurtz is bad. It's mainly because like sword fights in real medieval times is really rapid and is mostly just like poking at each other in many respects. Okay.
Yeah, you gotta get that poking on.
Oh dear, here we go. Brian Carmen, the Water Gardens fight, as I conceived it, happened at night. That's when you would sneak into a palace to steal someone. You do it at night, and yet in the show during the day, because they didn't realize that you can change the filter to make it look like it's at night. Most like scenes at night are filmed during the day, and they just recolor code them.
You know, I have a solution. This might be a stretch, but couldn't they just take like a big high res picture of like the Water Gardens, whatever they called it, and just blue screen the fight scene?
Probably. They didn't think of that.
That's like a huge stretch. I know. I mean,
yeah,
I'm just some random person on YouTube who doesn't know anything about that kind of thing.
And it was really expensive because they had to like say, "Hey, please, can you like not do tourism for a week in this UNESCO World Heritage Site so we can film here?" And they're like, "Fine, but you have this, and this restrictions," and it made it unfilmable. That's frustrating. So Dave Hill, it was the perfect storm. We had this gorgeous location, the Alcazar Palace, but we weren't allowed to shoot there at night. So we couldn't have a night infiltration when you'd logically do it. But at least we could have a cool fight during the day where you can see everything. Then we lost our stunt people.
I know. You see everything.
So we had to make do with what the actors had learned up to that point and cut around it. Wow.
Okay,
Water Gardens. Oh wow! So it's basically like we had to throw something together.
Does the book mention the night for day thing or no?
They just did.
Oh, okay. I want to make sure because
they didn't mention like that you could do night for day, that you could film during the day and then recolor code it at night. That's something
this is why we need people in charge who know what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. The Water Gardens fight was supposed to be much more elaborate. I remember Jeremy the director at the time being not happy about it. Jeremy does. I actually don't remember that. I do remember we were going to be using the doubles a lot more than we thought we did. The actresses were great. They worked really hard and have become very proficient. So we used the doubles as low as possible. Jessica Henwick, I was going back and forth every 2 days to do stunt fight training. They always said you're going to do most of the fight yourself. Jamie Fideswa, the only fight I remember was that we literally had a storm in the middle of it. A total deluge. The actors were totally drenched and nothing matched. Finally, Bernadette Caulfield was like, okay, stop. Because it became so ridiculous. It was one of the rare times we had to stop filming, and Bernie admitted defeat in the face of an uncontrollable act of God. Jessica Henwick, it was definitely drizzling. I don't remember it pouring. Producers originally planned more during season 5, but it later cut down the storyline because of your bad because of your bad time management. Oh my goodness, what's wrong with this? Okay, so Dave Hill, we thought it would be a fun adventure, but it fell prey to all the other storylines. Once we realized how the long Daznak's pit and Hardhome were going to take to shoot, we realized one story had to be cut down a bit. Yeah, by that you mean truncated and thrown into the garbage heap because people didn't. Well, not even that people didn't like, but it's just like we're done with this. Yeah, but it's just conflicting stories. I guess like that makes sense, but just like there's no clear thing of what's happening. All of the actors seem to remember something different, and they're directly contradicting each other, which is strange. Okay, the Dorn thread was quickly tied up early in season 7, with each of Obar's children on Laramie, various tragic fates with are discussed in more detail later. But for the producers, the fan reaction to the Dorn scene seemed to confirm what they'd initially expected. It's extremely difficult for the show to add several new cars onto a moving train that's already halfway to its destination.
That's not the problem.
No,
Did someone just say train wreck?
Oh. The problem is you don't plan anything.
You also impulsively added this subplot in at the last minute and didn't give production time to work on it.
No, it's because we're halfway through the seasons. That's why you're wrong. You're bad at critiquing this book.
That's just your opinion.
Oh my god. Not my own words accused against me.
I'm always going to use your own words against you, White Dragon.
Wait, it depends on whose opinion you're talking about. If you're talking
that's a subjective opinion.
No, that's yours. No, that's just your subjective opinion.
Hence, it is the only right one.
Yes.
Yeah, you're both idiots.
They do plan, guys. I'm a road mapper. Like, there are specific events that I want to happen, but I'll have a pretty good plan of what I want to happen, and I'll stick to it fairly closely.
Are you questioning professional writers? Done again? How many times do we have to tell you this?
I don't.
Look, are you famous for a TV show that crashed? I mean, a TV show?
It succeeded. yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
You're unhappy with the ending. No, I question your basic writing credentials. This guy isn't a functional adult.
Nope.
See, that's just subjective opinion. There's no facts or anything to that. You're just wrong.
There
You're
are
just
no
mad,
facts
bro.
anyway.
You're just mad.
Oh, thankfully,
You're
at least
just-
I can say factually he doesn't know how to write a script because he's said he hasn't read any screenwriting manuals.
Oh,
well, of course he hasn't. He said that at the beginning of the book, I think.
Like,
He
how
doesn't
dumb
need
do you
them.
have to be to write people's thoughts in a script?
He's a genius. He doesn't need credentials.
Maybe he's just a reckless and irresponsible jackass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me.
So
Maybe.
okay. So
Jackass, genius, same thing.
yeah. So wow, I should have written for this show. Admittedly, I would have had to do so when I was 14, and I probably wouldn't have been able to watch a majority of it. But
Yeah, I
How
should
that
have
even
become a
work?
writer
Like
for
you're
this
right.
dang show.
At 14, you could have come up with better stuff than.
no, I was. Yeah, I would have been 14 when the show was being written. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it started filming around like 2008, 2009, released 2011. Okay. So
How do you know that one was written at the last minute?
Yeah. So, David Benioff, there are times I'm watching shows or even reading books where I'm wondering, why are we spending time with these characters we don't really know or care about when we want to be with that person instead? Oh, gosh.
Yeah, fuck off. You don't understand storytelling.
You said that in that fucking Austin Film Festival. You don't understand the characters. How can you judge this kind of thing?
So basically, they're complaining about Dorn. They're saying that they included it, but they shouldn't have included it. Basically.
Yeah. The big lesson was there were our characters who mean so much to us, and that's who we want to spend our time with.
Yeah, you really did our characters justice.
About seeing where they go. Yeah. Dan Weiss, in a book, you could branch out to a whole different world, but if you do it to television, for whatever reason, a different set of rules apply. I'm sure it would have been fascinating to build out a proper Dorn, but the time it would have taken to come up with the at the expense of what we need to cover. Don't
Fuck you.
Here we go again.
Don't
Here we
cram
go.
the entirety of Dance with Dragons and Feast for Crows into one thing.
Oh,
Yes.
we wish we could have, planned
in
it
half.
and spread it out through seasons, but no, we just couldn't.
Split it in half. What you can do is split it in half, and
No.
then just split it in half.
No.
Do 2
Yeah.
seasons for 2 of those books.
Wrong.
Has anyone
Both
yet
run
mentioned?
simultaneously.
Has anyone yet mentioned
Wrong.
the pitch meeting thing, where the chap says where the HBO chap says, "You could have had all this time, but we didn't. Well, you could have, but we didn't." You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. No, they're like
I
the
think
HBO guys, like, here's more time. You can. They've been, it's like, no, we can't. We don't. We're
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm not making this up. There was an actual video out there.
Is
The
it the
Screen
pitch meeting?
Junkies or something. It was like a parody video of their
Yeah.
interview. Pitch meeting.
Yeah, it was pretty hilarious. Maybe I had to be there, but it's pretty funny.
Yeah, pitch meeting is pretty funny.
Oh wow.
So how did they defeat?
tight.
Well, Danny kind of forgot. Oh, okay, then let's move on.
Yeah.
Wait, are we going to explain that? No, we're just going to move on. Okay, then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tight.
Yeah, they could have had like 12, 13 seasons.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what was the catchphrase. I'm trying to remember the other one. I got cut.
Gee, it sucks that we don't have enough time to finish the show. No, seriously, you can have all the time you want. No, I'm sorry. We wish
Well,
we
we
could
don't.
have.
We could have had more time. We didn't have the time.
Yeah,
But you could have
We
had
have
the
to make
time,
our
but we
retarded
didn't.
Confederate show.
Yeah,
That's
I want
the real
to know that
money.
question. Yeah, I want to know
Well,
that.
he doesn't. He doesn't. He
He
doesn't
actually
have. He doesn't have a college diploma. That's why.
Actually,
He actually-
Killing the Night King is going to be kind of hard. Actually, it's going to be super easy, barely an inconvenience.
He actually did. He actually does have a college degree in English literature. I don't know how he got it because the only book of literary criticism he's read and internalized is Anxiety of Influence, which most people hate, and not just audiences, but people in the academic community hate that book and think it's stupid.
It sounded pretty stupid.
Yeah, or it's this crazy, like, hyper-conservative crazy man saying that the only good books are the ones that are wholly original, and even Shakespeare is worthless.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call him that conservative.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that guy really original. I bet there was somebody else who came up with that same complaint, so your point is invalid.
Well,
yeah,
like,
I mean, people have been complaining about originality for like ages now.
well, no, it's like that anything that is a response to something, like by his metric, Tolkien is not original, neither is Shakespeare.
Then the only
By his
only
own
the
logic,
first-
he's not original because I
only-
bet someone
the
made that
only-
complaint before, so he's not original in his complaint.
The only original is the only things that he thinks are like James Joyce and a couple other authors, and everybody else is trash.
But James Joyce used words.
What a boring personality.
Yeah. So Brian Kyman, there's a lot of great work in the Doran sequences, and I think the way it all resolves, particularly in the scene with Lena and Dira in that prison cell, is very interesting and messy and compelling. Ultimately, it was hard to make it feel like something other than an offshoot. Yeah, for good reason.
These performances, these faces, there was a lot of staring.
It was a lesson in how much you can expand a TV show.
What? What is
No,
that?
no.
What?
What is wrong with you?
What is wrong
What
with
does that
you?
have to do with anything? It was just a scene of I don't know. What is he talking about?
What do you mean expand? What do you mean by expand?
Yeah, I'm just like.
What do you mean?
Shut up. Not you, that. Not you, them.
What do the numbers mean, Mason?
What do they mean?
It's not adding up. Whatever.
Yeah.
So he's saying that the Cersei encountering the fucking Dornish person, whatever her name is like a new bar for TV somehow.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I guess so. Like
Like,
he really liked the
wow.
way it resolves, even though the way it resolves is clearly showing like, oh, we just didn't know what else to do. So it's a Jessica Hamwick. It's one of the actresses. It's definitely a really frustrating feeling. Like there's so much potential there, and a lot of the stuff that was shot that didn't make the final cut. It was hard, but overall, given the size of the character, I'm happy how it came out. It was still so worth it. And that's the end of the show. And that's the end of the chapter. That was quick. That only took like 20 minutes. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Pages 20 minutes. Alrighty. Well, thank you, everybody. I think that that pretty much covers it. So if anybody's interested in the Anxiety of Influence, Dragon Demands has a video on it. We did a stream on it, covering that video, and the good work he does on that video to kind of show like why David Benioff is a weird man and just has a warped view of reality and storytelling. But thank you all for coming. I want to thank my guests, Fafnir the Wise, also known as
Wise
Wolf.
I figure out why he's strangling himself all the time, because he's in a new body, so he's not used to it. So he got tangled up in the foam cords.
Champion.
I'm more comfortable as a wolf person. Okay.
Also as my
guys.
Also as my frequent co-host, Neph Champion, Camp Valerian, the White Dragon.
Fucking Caligon over here taking up like all the fucking space. We're all crammed to the side over here.
Question: has this chapter mentioned Alexander Siddig anywhere?
Nope, not even.
Not surprised. Main character.
It's all about the Sand Snakes and Dorn. It's all about.
Oh, great!
That was all there was to say about Dorn.
Yes, Dorn.
That's all there is to say about Dorn. That's it.
I feel like this might be a pattern. I hope not. I hope there's going to be more.
Siddig. Like Alexander Siddig was not the books. The books. We're only halfway through the book. A little over.
Oh dear.
We're a little over halfway. We're at 244 out of 452.
You guys kind of cut out there for a minute.
But at least like that one, we got to cover 2 pages in one stream, 2 chapters in one stream.
What's the next one about?
The next one is Running on Faith. It's about the Faith Militant.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I think this is going to be less Tismy. I'm waiting for like season 7 and 8.
Then the Shame, and then Romance Dies.
Oh, actually, thinking about that part, I think there actually might be a bit of Tism there.
Then 19.
Prepare for more. It's gonna get
11,
better.
And then 23, The Pact Survives, The Magnificent Bastards.
Magnificent.
All Shows Must Die. Skipping Out. So I guess that's justifying the Comic-Con skipping out. Then the Sort of Homecoming, Walks and Talks, The Longest Night, The Things We Love Destroy Us, Many Partings, Now the Watch Ends.
Many Partings. How deep?
Oh.
You know that's a reference to Tolkien, I hope.
Yeah.
Fuck off. You don't deserve that shit.
Yeah, really?
I will burn your fucking castle to the fucking ground if you ever make reference Tolkien in this shit book again.
Those titles are giving us existential pain.
Yeah. It gets better. It gets even better.
And I often give the perfect reactions.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yep, you do.
She is perfect. Blessed be thy name.
Alrighty. Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you all. I think the next time we'll do a stream is probably going to be Wednesday. Then we'll have a writer showcase stream on Friday.
That sounds good.
Again.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
See,
and so
essentially done. This is what we're going to be doing right now. Fuck you. See you in 2 days.
What's happening on Wednesday? What are we doing on Wednesday?
Probably adaptation.
In name only.
Yeah.
kind of
okay.
in name, faithful versus in name only, and the strengths and benefits of both.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
okay.
Well, we will see you guys later. Adios.
Bye, guys.
Holy shit. Okay, we're going.